A married man was visiting his girlfriend one day when she requested that he shave his beard. "Oh, James, I like your beard, but I would really love to see your handsome face." James replied, "My wife loves this beard. I couldn't possibly do it. She would kill me." "Oh, please," the girlfriend asked again in a nice little voice. "Really, I can't," he replied. "My wife loves this beard." The girlfriend asked once more, and he sighed and finally gave in. That night, James crawled into bed with his wife while she was sleeping. Wife woke up somewhat, felt his face, and replied, "Oh, Michael, you shouldn't be here. My husband will be home soon." After the operation, the doctor said to the patient, "I have good news. You will be able to meet your family members tomorrow." Patient said, "But I am completely alone. All my family members have passed away." Doctor answered, "I know." The mental asylum was getting full, and they had to discharge some patients. The psychiatrist devised a simple test to see which patients had recovered enough to return to society. He assembled all patients and drew a door on a chalkboard. He then announced that whoever was able to open that door would be released from the asylum. Chaos broke out. The patients began running and fighting to be first to the chalkboard. They began to push, kick, scratch, and even bite the door. Disappointed, the psychiatrist was about to give up when he saw a patient calmly standing next to the wall. Hopefully, he approached the patient and asked him, "Why aren't you rushing to the door?" The patient replied, "I'm not so mad as the rest to rush to it. There's no way they can open it." The psychiatrist asked him, "Why's that?" The patient replied, "I have the key." One hot summer day, a blonde came to town with her dog, tied it under the shade of a tree, and headed into a restaurant for something cold to drink. 20 minutes later, a policeman entered the restaurant and asked, "Who owns the dog tied under that tree outside?" The blonde said it was hers. "Your dog seems to be in heat," the officer said. The blonde replied, "No way. She's cool because she's tied up under that shade tree." The policeman said, "No, you don't understand. Your dog needs to be bred." "No way," said the blonde. "My dog doesn't need bread. She isn't hungry because I fed her this morning." The exasperated policeman said, "No, you don't understand. Your dog wants to have sex." The blonde looked at the cop and said, "Well, go ahead. I always wanted a police dog." One day, an Amish family decided to go into town and visit a shopping mall for the very first time. The mother went to look at ladies' clothing, while the father and the 8-year-old son headed for the sporting goods section. The boy and his father were standing by the elevator and watched as an old gray-haired lady with a walker entered the elevator. The elevator doors closed, then a minute later, they opened, and a beautiful young lady, big, huge boob, stepped out. The father said, "Hurry, Johnny, go find your mother and bring her here." A man's car was haunted by a ghost, so he took it to a priest to have the ghost exorcised. The priest said he would do it for $500, and the man agreed, so the priest sprayed some holy water, blessed the car, and got the ghost out. Unfortunately, the man fell on hard times and wasn't able to pay the church, so his car got repossessed. A lady went into the pharmacy, right up to the pharmacist, looked straight into his eyes, and said, "I would like to buy some cyanide." The pharmacist asked, "Why in the world do you need cyanide?" The lady said, "I need it to poison my husband." The pharmacist's eyes got big and he exclaimed, "Lord have mercy! I can't give you cyanide to kill your husband. That's against the law. I'll lose my license. They'll throw both of us in jail. All kinds of bad things will happen." "Absolutely not. You cannot have any cyanide." The lady reached into her purse and pulled out a picture of her husband in bed with the pharmacist's wife. The pharmacist looked at the picture and replied, "Oh, well, now that's different. You didn't tell me you had a prescription." A stockbroker walks past a girl selling lemonade. "Hey, mister, you want some lemonade?" He looks over at the sign that says, "Brownies 10 cents, lemonade $20. "Hey, kid, your sign is wrong. I think you mean 20 cents. The little girl shakes her head. "Nope, $20, mister. You want some?" "Look, sweetie, You're too young to understand economics, but you can only change what someone is willing to pay. It doesn't cost you much to make it. So if you charge a lower price, you'll make more profit. The little girl thinks for a moment. Nope. $20, mister. The stockbroker gives a little sigh and shakes his head. Okay, look. I studied economics at Harvard, and I got my MBA from Wharton, so I'm going to teach you a little about business, okay? You're losing money on the brownies, but you're not making any profit because nobody wants to pay that much for a lemonade when they can get it cheaper a few blocks away. Understood? Nope. $20, mister. You know what? I give up. Guess this is the only way you'll learn. Here's a dime for a brownie. I bet it cost you more than that. Okay? The girl takes the dime, and the stockbroker decides to eat the brownie right in front of her to make the point. Suddenly, he begins coughing and gagging uncontrollably. Oh my God. What is... This tastes like sawdust and dog shit. Get this taste out of my mouth. The little girl cocks her head to the side and says through a beaming grin, "You want some lemonade?" A man was teaching his son how to hunt when they got lost. "Don't worry," said the father. "This is a good learning opportunity. We'll just shoot in the air 3 times. That's the universal signal for help." So he shot in the air 3 times. They waited and waited, but no one came. "That's okay," said the father. "Nobody was around that time, so we'll just try again. Why don't you shoot this time?" So the son shot in the air 3 times. They waited another hour, but still no one came. "Let's try one more time," said the father. "Okay, but it better work this time. These are my last arrows." A nurse is doing her rounds at an insane asylum. She passes room 1 and sees a man talking to the wall. "What are you doing in here, John?" the nurse asks. "I'm yelling at the manager for messing up my order." She continues to the second room and sees Terry walking around the room, holding an imaginary steering wheel. "What are you doing, Terry?" asks the nurse. Terry says, "I'm going out of town to Chicago for business." She nods her head and approaches the last room. Inside, she sees Frank masturbating furiously. "Frank, what are you doing in here?" Frank looks up and says, "I'm fucking Terry's wife while he's in Chicago." An old farmer is sitting on his milking stool holding an empty bucket and silently weeping. His son realizes he's crying and asks him what's wrong. "Bessie, my favorite dairy, gone and run offed on me. Your ma left the gate open again." "Well, don't worry, Pa. Ma is always forgetting things, but I'm sure we'll find her." "Well, your ma found her, but she was already dead. She worked her way onto the meat farm yonder and wound up getting processed." "Aw, Pa, that makes me mad for ya. But at least we can eat her and she won't go to waste." "Well, that's the thing, boy. Your ma thought I wouldn't want to eat my Bessie, so she cooked it all and gave it to the charities. I tried to get her back, but it was late already." "Well, Pa, now I'm downright pissed for ya. How could Ma do that?" "She weren't done yet. After that, I came out here to get this morning's milk from the storage just to find it spilled all over the floor." At this point, the old farmer breaks down blubbering and the son can't stand it anymore. He marches back into the house and starts screaming at his mom. "God damn it, Ma, you let Bessie out. Pa is out there's blibbering about his Bessie." "No, boy. Your pa ain't blubbering about no Bessie. He's crying over spilled milk and a missed steak."